Hi there everybody, my name is Megan Griffith and soon this will no longer be the Neurodivergent Magic YouTube channel. Some of you are already going to know some of the stuff that's been going on with me, some of the mistakes that I've made, and you're going to know why I'm addressing all of this. Others of you are going to be like, what's going on? So let me explain. About a month ago, I started a conversation over on TikTok that I realize now that I was not the right person to lead that conversation. I made a TikTok saying that I believed that autism was a disability, not a disorder, and lots of people agreed with me and lots of people disagreed with me. And instead of realizing, as I realize now, that we have a difference of opinion. Neurodivergent people, autistic people, we are not a monolith and we are allowed to disagree about these things. And the most important thing about the neurodiversity movement is self-sovereignty and each individual person's right to identify the way they want to. Instead of realizing all of that, which I realize now, I doubled down. I got condescending, I got defensive, and I got frankly pretty rude. I ignored people who had a different opinion than me, especially higher support needs autistic folks and autistic people of color. And for that, I am really, really sorry. I shouldn't have done that, point blank. But I did do it. And so the next best thing I can do is apologize for it and learn from it, I suppose. And I know that that feels really crappy, right? Like when you've hurt people to say like, well, I learned. And it's like, great, well, your learning came at the cost of somebody else's scars. So please believe me when I say I am aware of that. And I am doing my best to make sure I don't do something like that again. Which leads me to the name change of this YouTube channel. See, a lot of people have been talking to me about the word neurodivergent and the fact that there are a lot of people, myself included, who use the term neurodivergent when what they really mean, like 90% of the time, is ADHD or autism. I've made this mistake over and over and over in the past, and people have corrected me over and over and over in the past, and I just haven't seemingly got it through my thick skull until now. See, for me, I started using the word neurodivergent instead of specifically saying ADHD and or autism because I wasn't sure where I fit under the neurodivergent umbrella. I really didn't know. I had been misdiagnosed with bipolar. I'd had a couple therapists talk to me about trauma or potentially even personality disorders, and I really didn't know where I fit. And so neurodivergent felt like a big open umbrella term that I knew I fit under somewhere. So that's why I started using it. But as I eventually got diagnosed as autistic and ADHD and started talking a lot about executive dysfunction, which can go with lots of different neurodivergencies, but is primary to ADHD, I kept using the word neurodivergent when more and more what I meant was autism and ADHD. And I decided I didn't want to make the same mistake. I didn't want to double down on the name of my business, Neurodivergent Magic, and the name I gave myself as a neurodivergent life coach when people were telling me it was harmful. I really wanted to learn my lesson this time. And so the name of this YouTube channel and my business and my title as a coach is all changing. The new name of the business is going to be the Neurocuriosity Club, and that is because I think it much more specifically captures the kind of people I like to work with, which are people who think that they're probably ADHD or probably autistic, or maybe they have a personality disorder, or perhaps it's, OCD, and they're just not sure. Now, I absolutely can't diagnose, nor will I ever advertise any sort of diagnosis. But what I can do is hold people's hands through this process of figuring themselves out, because I've been there and it's hard to do it alone. Now, with this change comes a lot of other name changes. For example, I used to sell something called autism and ADHD diagnosis binders. Super misleading, made it sound like I could diagnose you. I promise that wasn't my intention, but it doesn't matter. That was the impact. And so those binders, the name has changed to discovery binders because that's really what they are. They help you discover your ADHD and autistic traits through free self-assessments you can find online. If you don't want to pay for the binders, I actually have a video you can click on up here on how to make one of those binders yourself. Additionally, my title as neurodivergent life coach has to change as well because I'm not equipped to help every kind of neurodivergent person. Like, I have no idea what goes into epilepsy, and I could never coach someone on their experience with epilepsy specifically. I couldn't really coach someone with their experience with a tic disorder. I am not equipped to help someone who's experiencing narcissistic personality disorder. There are lots of things I can't do, and the word neurodivergent life coach just doesn't seem appropriate anymore, and probably never was. Instead, my new title is going to be an auDHD life coach for the neurocurious, and this is really meant to be super specific. I work with people who are autistic, ADHD, or both, or suspect those things, and they're curious about their brain. Now, while I'm owning up to mistakes and talking about things I've learned recently, it would be inappropriate for me not to mention the coaching certification course that I attempted to offer for a couple of days before I listened to a lot of people who were very upset about that decision. I see now that it was very harmful to use the word certification when I am in no way associated with a certifying body. Even though life coaching is unregulated, the word certification does imply that I am associated with like the International Coaching Federation or something, which I am not. Additionally, I called it the Neurodivergent Life Coach Certification course, and that brings back that word neurodivergent and the inappropriate way in which I have consistently used it. I'd also like to offer a little bit of an explanation, not as a way of nullifying my apology, but as a way of explaining how I came to these mistakes, because there seems to be some assumptions out there that I did this to intentionally deceive people, to intentionally mislead people, to intentionally hoodwink or grift or hurt people. And although I recognize that that was the end result, and that is very important, it's also important to me that you know that that wasn't my intention. Truth be told, I get a lot of questions from people asking how I became a life coach. And I had an idea at about 9 a.m. Hey, I could just make a quick course on what I did and how I started doing all of this that might really help people. And by 6 p.m., the course was outlined and the sales page was up and I was promoting it. So, with that in mind, I think it's clear that my ADHD impulsivity got the best of me, and I made something before I really slowed down to think about whether or not it was a good or ethical decision. I promise my only intention with this course was to help people do what I do, to help people help other people, to increase the number of lived experience experts out there who are sharing their lives with people and helping people like them. But again, I recognize that that wasn't the impact of what I did. And so, again, I'm really sorry. Moving forward with this channel, I would love to talk more about what it means to be curious about your brain and what it's like to be stuck in between without a diagnosis that feels right, what it's like to experience misdiagnosis, and what it's like to be autistic, ADHD, or both. And moving forward, I'm gonna listen more. You know, as a content creator, I do a lot of talking. I do a lot of sharing of my ideas, but it's really important for us to listen as well. And historically, I haven't been great at that. So that's something I'm absolutely working on now. If you want to stick around for that kind of content, if you want to stick around and learn from someone whose experience comes from lived experience, that's me. And I would be honored to have you. I'm actually going to be posting a little more often now on this channel. I'm planning on posting every Tuesday and Saturday, so you can look forward to a new video coming to you this Saturday all about what is neurocuriosity. Thanks for taking the time to hear my apology, and I hope this isn't the last time we get to talk.